Let's explore the idea of dog culture being like a fake currency. So, if you understand how inflation works, this might sound really familiar, but it's right along the same lines. So, first, let's just look at a little summary about counterfeit money. So, counterfeit money can damage the economy by increasing the supply without corresponding economic activity, which can lead to inflation and decrease the value of genuine currency. So, in today's video, genuine currency is human connection versus owning a dog that has no prefrontal lobe. A dog that can never give you true human connection because it is a counterfeit. It's a counterfeit currency that devalues everything else, even though it does give us a quick fix and a quick little thing that we can say is a fur baby or whatever, but it's counterfeit. So I recently came across all of this stuff. Human connection is the new currency. So human connection has a myriad of health benefits. Think about just like if it's the end of the world or something. What are you going to want? A big pile of money? A big pile of gold? Or would you rather have a few really good friends that can help you find food and find water and keep your cars going and keep your property safe? Yeah, it's humans. Humans are more important to humanity than any other creature. And anyways, it's a currency, the most valuable currency. I just kind of started thinking about this in the terms of how inflation works. But yeah, people are talking about human connection as like a new currency, like it's becoming so valuable. Partly because it's so freaking rare these days, because everybody's lonely. Even though we have 90 million pet dogs, Americans are just lonely. Here's another good little summary of human connection. It's described as a currency because it holds significant value in our life. Authentic relationships can lead to personal and professional growth. So, authentic relationships. Not a fanged beast that lives in your house that can never get a job, never clean a dish, never tell your story, never remember anything. Like a dog can truly never remember anything and tell your story or learn a lesson. And while we have 90 million pet dogs and growing, and that's not even counting all the police dogs and the dogs in overflowing shelters, or probably above your head right now getting flown from Texas to Oregon or wherever, still, Americans are experiencing loneliness. Approximately 50% of adults feel lonely, a trend that has worsened in recent years. It's because of this currency. We're wasting our human currency on stupid dogs that can never pay us back. And then we're using the dogs as currency. It's just wasting our human efforts on a no value currency, a low value, inauthentic currency of dog ownership. From what I can tell, the United States, it ranks fourth on the loneliest people in the world. Yet we're the top dog owning nation. Shouldn't we rank last if dogs provide all this help? Sounds like the currency of dogs is not, it's only being traded in the United States. So why is the United States so lonely? Why are we so depressed? So most people probably think currency just means like money. But also remember this part right here. It's a medium of exchange. Okay? So, or it's a transmission form from person to person, a medium of exchange. Circulation. So it's something that you trust is going to have value. Like if somebody gives you $10, you can assume it's going to buy a certain amount of stuff, and they can assume that you're going to be grateful because that $10 was worth something. So we've traded that type of human connection with the presence of a dog. It's like, here you go, here's my dog, isn't he so great? But it's just an expense and a liability. It's an exchange of money that has no value. It only has a liability. It's like a double hit on this whole concept. So now let's go to our super technical drawing that's going to help explain all of this. So here's a human over here. This is the human. So all these money signs, that's their value. So they can fix a car, they can cook a meal, they can plan a weekend, they can mow a lawn. Up here, you got a prefrontal lobe. So with that prefrontal lobe, they can remember things that happened 10 years, 20 years ago. They can remember how to solve a problem. They can remember how to save a life and do CPR, things like that, because they have that prefrontal lobe. And these plus signs, these are all, that means that all that stuff this human has, they can share that with another human, and it might cost you a little bit, but they can give it back. And so they have a lot of inner value, a lot of potential here with all this humanity. But what we're doing is we're replacing this right here with the fur baby. Okay, so this has a negative sign because it's negative money. It costs you, right? And then it's breathing out CO2 into your face. It's sucking in more money. No prefrontal lobe right here. Just piss and shit coming out the other end. And yes, this thing also pisses and shits, but at least it wipes its butt, and at least the human can have a job in, city water management, and at least a human can use a mop or a wash rag. This beast cannot. But this is what we're using as our medium of exchange instead of human connection. And human connection has all these carry forth benefits to all the other humans, and the dog does not have any of those. And people love the dog though because it's easier. They can say it's loyal, easier, cheaper, no drama, but also it has none of these benefits. It can never cook you a meal, it can never tell your story, it can never help you sell your car if you need to sell your car. The dog can never do any of those awesome things that your human friend can. And all of these little things right here, these are just marketing weasel words. The loyal, the easier, the cheaper, the no drama, all the stuff that people say about dogs, that's just weasel words. Like, they say the dog is cheaper. Yeah, it's cheaper up front. You can go to the pound and probably get a free pit bull. But the long-term costs are through the roof, and the return on investment is negative. The return on investment on a dog is always negative. Like, if you leave the dog in your will after you die, that's just an expense for your family. It's not a benefit. So let's go to our next technical drawing now. So here we are, our next technical drawing. So here's you as a human. You got all these currencies. It might be cash, or it's just the cool stuff you can do. You can teach somebody how to saddle a horse. You can teach somebody how to drive a 5-speed car. You know how to make a great chicken cordon bleu. Stuff like that. And maybe you're trying to go dating. Maybe you want a new husband or wife. But this currency that you have, this human connection that you have, our society is just devaluing it because we're using this little nasty stupid dog as the currency. Instead of accepting your currency, the human connection, the dog owner is over here. Here's the wallet, paying for all the vet bills and the poop bags and the Lysol to clean their house. There's their phone, taking selfies of the dog to put up on the internet. There's the smelly poop. They'll probably take a picture of that and they'll be like, oh my God, my doggy pooped in my house, but it's only because I spent too much time at my uncle's. And the dog owner is full of this love, this instant gratification. They're on their phone, they got their wallet out, their head forward posture, looking down at the dog when they should be looking across at a fellow human. Another health risk of dog ownership, head forward posture. And then when this dog dies, it's going to cost the owner more money. The dog doesn't even have any legacy. It doesn't have a legacy of stuff that it owned, or cars that it repaired, or houses that it helped fix. It has no legacy. It's just going to die. At least a human, if they pass away, they can put another human in their will and have a legacy. And dogs can't do that. And it's funny that I mentioned that, because This is also a topic in America. Families concerned about losing their legacies. And guess what else? Dog owners leave their property or other assets to their dogs in their will. I think it's like several $billions that Oprah left to her dogs. But that's just property and assets that are going to be given over to the state or some other tax shelter organization that's part of a dog rescue. Which means your legacy that you could get from your parents or somewhere or some other person in your family, they're going to be like, nah, I'll just give that over to my dog and let some government run or government tax shelter agency have all that money so they can supposedly rescue dogs. And historically, that money doesn't all go to dogs. They use it, they just take it for themselves. And your family doesn't get it. So your legacy goes to dog culture in many of these cases. Now, if you really want to put on your thinking cap about this issue, first off, remember that America has the highest amount of dog ownership, at least 90 million dogs. So, why would somebody be doing this to our country? What would be the purpose to push dog ownership? Well, socialist regimes implement their own currency as part of their economic systems. So, if they can take away our currency of human connection and replace it with an expense and a liability that lives in our house, attacks our kids, ruins our carpet, dominates our Facebook pages, slowly but surely pushes humans away from each other. If they can replace that human connection with the dog, that's going to give them all types of control over us. So, dog ownership is a lot like a socialist regime. Mao Zedung did this. Let me give you a quick example. So, if you're familiar with Mao Zedung, you probably don't need this, but here's what his primary goal was: just to establish communism, and he achieved these goals through radical reforms. And one of the ways he did this is he changed out the currency, not necessarily the money, but for example, the currency between the farmers and landowners. That currency was labor, and the landlords, farm workers, they made all of those decisions, and their currency was their labor, their land, and all of the things that they traded as landowners and farm workers. So a quick summary about that. But the farm workers in China primarily worked on their own land for landlords. The Great Leap Forward and subsequent movements aimed to collectivize agriculture and send urban youth to rural areas, significantly changing the dynamics of labor. So labor was a lot like their currency. They had to work to get what they wanted. They had to have land. If they didn't have land, they better be good at working. But Mao Zedong came in and said, well, the government is going to control who works where. The currency is going to be our communist decisions, not your decisions as workers and landowners. So in that way, he made a different currency, a government-controlled currency that everybody had to honor. And if they didn't honor it, they would be cast out. It's the same thing with dog ownership. Like, don't you dare talk bad about dogs. You will be attacked by 10 people, even though 2 or 3 of them agree with some of the negative externalities that we talk about with dogs. So, this change of currency is very similar to what Mao Zedong did in China, and is very similar to what we're doing with dogs. We're replacing human connection with a filthy, fanged beast that can't even wipe its own ass. It has no prefrontal lobe, yet a large portion of our country is either addicted to dog ownership or are too afraid to speak out about all the nasty stuff. And remember, dogs don't have a prefrontal lobe. And so as humans, we hang around them, we use our prefrontal lobe less. So generation after generation, we're not going to remember the nasty stuff that happens with dog culture. So what do you guys think about my analysis? Doesn't this picture right here kind of represent America. Money, time, resources on a stinky beast, while humans over here with all their human connection are kind of like, huh, what about me? Yep. And in the long term, this poor person over here, craving that human connection, not getting it, they're going to be like this person and make the stupid decision to get a dog, and then they won't have any of their human connection or any of their money anymore. See you guys later.